representatives are gonna say tonight so that you can vote for them in October. I'm going to repeat what one of my favorite people in Seward said, Margaret Anderson, who had served this community proudly for many years, that service is the rent we pay for living here. And so I started paying some of that rent back in 1986 when I first ran for the Kenai Peninsula Road Service Area Board. And I've moved on through many of the other elected or appointed boards and commissions, and currently I'm on the assembly, and hopefully I'm doing you justice for the district. I serve from Turnagain Arm to Lowell Point to Sterling, and so try to attend many of the meetings that I can. And I would let you know that there is nothing that you can do for your community that is as important as signing up to run for one of these offices. And once you win them, to do the best you can and to listen to your constituents and vote the way you feel your communities would like you to represent them. So thank you. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative Cindy Eckworth.
Thanks.
And I'm having a technical situation here, so I'm going to reboot. And in the meantime, we'll go ahead and invite the Borough Fire Service Area candidates for Bear Creek up to the stage. Find your comfortable spot there on the couch, and get this rolling here in just a second. I think we have full roster.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Cool.
Windows has been updating today, so I don't know if that has anything to do with this.
You're not running 11, are you?
No.
It's Windows 7. Could be worse, could be 98. Are you just rebooting?
Yeah, yeah.
Anyone have any questions?
Oh, okay, there you go.
While we're waiting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got some dead time here.
Maybe we could just sit up here and sip our water, or if we could run our mouths. Any questions? Is anyone, who's here from Bear Creek area? Perfect. And if 6 of you have any questions? Why don't we introduce ourselves? My name's Brandon Tatum. I live off Old Exit Glacier Road.
Greg Austin, live on Stony Creek Avenue.
I'm Doyle Breckner. I live here in Bear Creek and work out at the prison.
My name's Tom Reese. I live on Johnson Avenue off Nash Road.
This might be a good time, since we have some dead air anyway, to have a moment of silence, like what, if you could introduce it.
Well, I asked previously, so before we begin, I would like to pause and acknowledge the tragic loss of Charlie Kirk. I'm not sure if everyone's heard, but just a few hours ago, he was killed while he was speaking in a public forum in Utah. He was shot. He was only 31 years old. He was a young husband. He was the father of 2 small children. And so tonight, it's a dark day for the country. We not only grieve his loss, but we remember his family and in our thoughts and our prayers. It's a dark day when differences of opinion are met with violence instead of dialogue. And that kind of shows what we're doing here tonight. We're showing a better way. This forum is a great example of what our country should be, and that is people coming together to share ideas, even disagree about the way forward, but to do so with civility and respect. So as we continue tonight, I would just encourage all of us to lead by example, because we can show that disagreement doesn't have to mean disrespect or violence. So if you guys don't mind, you could join me in a moment of silence and prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. Father, I would just lift up Charlie Kirk and his family to you right now, his wife and 2 little babies, that you would just give them comfort, that you would bring peace to their hearts right now. I know they are believers in you and your son, so I just pray that you would come alongside them and give them peace. Lord, I just ask that you would just comfort them. Lord, we really don't know what to say in tragic situations like this, except to know that you have everything in your hands. And we just ask all of these things in your name. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, appreciate it.
Very well said. Still no questions? How's the internet going?
It's, not cooperating.
I brought the other red phone if we can, oh, it is being recorded though, so
Yeah.
we're just
Yes.
trying to get it either live or on the radio on
No,
YouTube.
I'd like to stream it, but, you know, it's optional at this point. I think we're already in the thick of it, so I think what I'm gonna do is, just, post the video afterwards, since the live aspect of it,
So you're recording though, yeah?
Oh, yeah,
And you can post it?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so,
what I'm
yeah, I
gonna
think we're gonna go ahead and move ahead, but I would like to, ask that you do use the microphone when you're speaking, so that we get a good, some decent sound on the recording. Do you wanna go from this end?
Yeah.
If you would just introduce yourself, and these gentlemen here they're the candidates for the fire service area of Bear Creek, and we have 4 candidates. There's 2 seats available. I believe, do we have everybody, I think we have it mixed up here, don't we? Are you 2 running for 1 seat, and you 2 are running for the
I'm
other?
seat B.
Okay, seat B,
CA.
seat A,
B.
B, and A, which makes not a lot of, the seats don't make a lot of practical difference, but we have 2 candidates for each seat, so that makes a difference, so. Go ahead and proceed.
Okay, so as I said before, my name's Tom Reese. I moved to Seward in 1973 with my wife Annette. And when we came to town, there was no Bear Creek Fire Service area. There was no Questa Woods. There was a lot of the area that we have today. It was a much smaller community, and it was served much differently than it is now. But somewhere in the mid-70s, Seward wanted to annex out to Mile 7, and those of us that lived out of town didn't want to be annexed. So a group got together and started the work that ended up what we've got today with the Bear Creek Fire Service area. And it's taken a lot of years with a lot of people's dedication and hard work to come to where we are. And we don't always, and I be one of the people, pay a lot of attention to the volunteer work that's done in our community with the service people, the first responders. But in 2022, in November 28th, I was putting a roof on my house, and I fell, had 4 sheets of plywood fall on me. I broke 9 ribs and several other things. And the first people that arrived were the Bear Creek fire people. And I was unconscious, so I don't know what all they did, but they were there responding to the effort. When the Seward Ambulance Corps came, they scooped me up and brought me to town. Since then, I've been much more aware of the volunteer group. And when this position came open, I decided to run for it because I feel I'm a reasonable person, and it's an advisory board, so I, with other people on the board, can jointly make decisions and then give advice to the Bear Creek group as to how we should move forward. Over the years that I've been here, there are so many things that have changed. When I first came to town, if you had done first aid and CPR, you were thought to be really up to date in helping somebody that was hurt. But today it's a lot different than that. There's a lot more technology, a lot more available. There's a lot more training that's done, and it requires a lot of work. So in order for all the things to progress to where we are today, with responding to things, with the everyday situations in life. Like myself, I didn't know I was gonna need somebody to help me that day. And I didn't know what kind of help I was gonna need. But when the phone call was made, everybody on the other end of the phone knew what to do. And that's because of a lot of volunteers and some paid positions that acted properly. And because of that, I got the care I needed. I was in hospital for 10 days, but everything came out good because it all started out good. The response to my incident was handled properly. And we wanna make sure that that continues. So it's not if they're responding to a fire, if they're responding to an auto accident, if they're responding to something like what I did. It's good to have those people available and have them trained so that they're able to do the job that you need done. So I have the opportunity now to do something to pay back and to give input to keep the Bear Creek Fire area going in the direction that it is going, to keep it healthy and keep it strong, and keep it to be the item that the rural part of our community needs to keep it safe as we can. Thank you.
If we didn't mention before, we're asking people to wrap it up in 5 minutes.
Did I?
I don't know, I started your timer late.
It seemed good to me, Tom. Thank you.
Oh, hold on, reset, okay, go.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Doyle Breckner. I currently serve on the Bear Creek Service Fire Area Board. I've been honored to serve in this role for the past 5 months, and I'm running for re-election to continue to be able to support the incredible work being done by the fire department and the volunteers. Tonight, I want to use some of my time to talk about something that's been on many people's mind in regards to Bear Creek Fire Department, and the question is about ambulance service. Specifically, why is Bear Creek a fire service area considering adding its own ambulance service? So I think it's important to address this directly because it goes to the heart of how we keep our community safe and how we are preparing for the future. Since 1986, Bear Creek Fire Service Area has had the responsibility to provide emergency medical services. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to deliver every element ourselves, but it does mean that we are accountable for ensuring that EMS for our community is consistent, reliable, and adequate. For many years, and even currently as it is today, that responsibility has been shared in large part with our partners at the Seward Volunteer Ambulance Corps, or SVAC. SVAC has served faithfully in this community, but it's no secret that they are facing some current challenges, like an aging membership, a limited succession plan, and few volunteers to be able to assist the entire community. So what I've seen in my short time at Bear Creek, what makes me proud is that Bear Creek has been stepping up to help the community and meet some of these challenges. Under the leadership that I've seen with Chief Bracken, who has been serving the community for over 15 years, and with the dedication of the trainers and the volunteers and long-serving board members, the department has invested heavily in building a strong foundation of training and education. Right now, Bear Creek has 31 volunteers. A large amount of the community are stepping up. Just in the past year alone, the department has issued around 75 certifications. Now, these certifications are a minimum of 40-hour training class and some much more. So they've been working really hard. The department has conducted over 12 certified state and national classes in the last 12 months, and they provided over 1,000 hours of training. So I want to acknowledge a concern that I've heard from members of the community regarding this. And basically, it's the fear that if Bear Creek adds an ambulance service, it would compete with SVAC, and it would drive them potentially towards even closing their doors. I want to be very clear here. That is not at all our goal. The first choice in our minds at Bear Creek Fire Department is partnership in my mind. We value SVAC in the history here, long history, their service to the community and the dedication of their volunteers. But what we want is collaboration. What we want is to be able to train together, to share resources, to strengthen the emergency response for the whole community. This is not about replacing SVAC. It's about ensuring that the residents always have access to consistent, reliable, high-quality emergency care. And I know people are concerned about the cost. I've heard that as well. And I just want to let everyone know I would not support a mill rate increase, and Chief Bracken would not, and the current board members would not. I've talked to them all. Instead, what the chief has been doing recently is they have been going through and using and actually managing the budget creatively. For example, things like converting the electrical lighting system to LEDs has saved thousands of dollars a year. Been able to negotiate lease agreements with the square footage that's available in the building that's created income. And also the tower lease, which not only creates thousands of dollars of annual revenue, but it also provides free internet for the department. So things like this is creating, for example, last year we actually had a budget surplus. And rather than just trying to figure out a way to immediately return that money to the community, which is an idea that I've heard, rather we're reinvesting that into emergency services so that we can sustain and strengthen for years to come. Okay, I'm about done. So in short, I believe our path is about being proactive, not reactive, about supporting the chief and the volunteers and the department's training programs. I'm proud to serve alongside such dedicated people, and I would be honored to continue supporting them as a member of the board, and I ask you for your support and your vote to return me to the Bear Creek Fire Service area so that we can keep this foundation of strength, service, and responsibility. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Greg Haas, and I am running for seat Bravo to be on the Bear Creek Fire Board service area. It's the first venture for me to step into this type of effort, and so mostly I want to introduce myself a little bit, but also thank you all for coming out, because as Brandon pointed out, a few folks from out of town came in, but all of you probably know some folks that live outside of the community, and one of the most important things that we can do is encourage other people to vote, to come out throughout September when they can start dropping off ballots, or to go in October. The more people that vote, the more ownership we have over what the voice is and what we're hearing and saying. So thanks for coming out tonight. I appreciate it. I have moved back to Seward after retiring from the Coast Guard about 4 years ago, and I've just tried to get involved in as many different public service or community-related volunteer efforts with the chamber, with efforts to get a community center here, and then also I teach full-time at AvTech, mostly focused in on developing training, a lot of fire, water safety operations, and so I really appreciate all the hard work that our volunteers get out of the fire department. That is near and dear to something that I spent my time in the Coast Guard doing. But I really am just here to advocate for my neighbors, advocate for what we're doing as a community and a service outside of the city of Seward when it comes to taking care of the great neighborhoods that we live in. When we watched a fire go through a small business out on Bear Lake, the way that both fire services, both fire departments came out to contribute and help get them safe and protected. Like, that's the sort of thing that is really important to me, and listening to what we're doing with the monies that are going into the fire department. So I'd like to put my priorities out there of making sure that we're taking care of the capital projects that we've invested in, making sure that the building is complete, looking at the the trust that is asked of the community, the folks that are paying in the mill rate, to know that when we are prioritizing new construction or new operations, that we're doing that with a collective buy-in. And so that's really what is a big priority to me. I've enjoyed being a property owner outside in the Cuesta Woods, Stony Creek area for over 15 years, from when I was active duty on through to now. And I really enjoy hearing from my neighbors what's going on, what they've seen, how the community continues to grow and thrive because we have such great volunteers and we have such a great fire department. So I really enjoy my chance to get involved more in the community and learn some of the nuances, join a board of people who are very committed to listening and advocating for doing the right stuff, and then to make sure that we're standing by for the right priorities. So when there are situations, when there are injuries, when there are fires, that our folks are confident with the skills that they have. I appreciate the chance to come out and talk. Thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting you.
Many of you know me, many of you don't. My name is Brandon Tatum. I live in the Old Glacier area. I'm running for seat Alpha on the board. And I love the history lessons that we're getting tonight. But I'm going to give you a brief history lesson myself. Both Seward Fire and Bear Creek Fire used to work jointly together with SVAC. When someone would come volunteer at Bear Creek or Seward Fire and ask to be on an EMS service, they would forward that person to SVAC. That's not happening anymore. And the reason that's not happening is because the mayor, I wish he was listening, has a certain agenda that he's trying to push through. He developed a thing called the Eastern Peninsula Fire and EMS Service. And the reason he did that is he went to Cooper Landing and wanted them to join the Western Peninsula Fire and EMS Service. And they said, hell yeah. Until he told them it would raise their mill rate. And then they said, hell no. 2 weeks later, he had a meeting. I believe, Cindy, you might have been there. And he stated to the public, we need to go over to the eastern side so they can help us pay for this. And that's when he developed the Eastern Peninsula Fire and EMS Service. The problem is that takes a lot of money. It really, really does. And so we started to see an exponential rise in our property taxes. And the way they did that was kind of a scam, in my opinion, but they exponentially raised our property values. They simply could have came to the voters and said, hey, we need more money. What about a sales tax? What about another 1 mill rate increase? But the easy way around it was to increase exponentially our property values, to increase the coffers for Bear Creek Fire, and upwards of $285,000 surplus, which my friend talked about. Rather than paying down the building money, the building debt that is owed to Kenai Peninsula Borough, or maybe even giving some money back to property owners, the decision was made to buy an ambulance. Many of you know, many of you don't know, the Seward Volunteer Ambulance Service has been serving the community with high-level ALS care for 72 years from Low Point to Cooper Landing. Strictly 100% volunteer-based, meaning your tax dollars don't go to SVAC. Now, I understand public safety. I understand being on a fire department because I served with Seward for a while. But what I don't understand is how we're being bamboozled. The truth is, you can't just have one ambulance. You have to have multiple ambulances. Simple example, I wish Bracken was actually here. Simple example. Call goes out to Stony Creek for cardiac arrest. 2 minutes later, another call comes out from Wilma. Does the Wilma person die? There's no second ambulance, unless they have more money. Then they can buy another ambulance. And I get what you're saying. You said that everyone wants to work together. That's not true. That is not what's going on right now. What's going on right now is a lot of rumors and BS. And I can read quotes all day long from Chief Bracken about how old SVAC is. Oh shit, I'll just read it. Richard Bracken stated that Seward Volunteer Ambulance Corps has not been providing all, hang on a sec. I am a little too old. Standards of care associated with EMT 3 level. One example was that drugs should be carried on an ALS ambulance are not, or were not until recently carried on an SVAC ambulance, limiting the care that's provided by SVAC. Richard also stated that in addition to the concerns over care provided was the lack of education platform that is provided for certifications, falling responder numbers, and this is my favorite one, the extreme age of many responders. I know a lot of the SVAC responders. They're not old. It's almost ageist, really, when you think about it. I'm all about being friendly. But when it comes to our money and our tax dollars, it's time for people to stand up.
We need to wrap it up.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to go 1 or 2 minutes longer. Okay?
We have, after,
I just think
we'll have
that-
comments.
The gentleman over there went a little bit longer, so I figure it's fair.
Yeah, so.
I mean, if you want me to shut up, I will.
Well, I would also suggest that at the conclusion of your remarks here, 1 or 2 more minutes, that you point people, folks where these conversations are going on so that they can get more information.
Correct.
Because this has been, I mean, I've.
All right, here's the deal. I'll finish. And I'm sorry that I seem boisterous, but it's because I'm passionate. It's because I care about the community in which I live in. So much, in fact, that I'm tired of getting ripped off by taxes and the increase of property values. Tell you what, you can go to votebrandontatum.com. Yeah, I got a website. You can learn all about me. And then on Monday, my web developer will be posting all the data and facts that I have found in my research. And I think that you all should go there, even if you're in the city of Seward, because the same thing's happening to you, Sewardites. I'm just being transparent about it, because I believe in 3 things: transparency, fiduciary responsibility, and accountability. And I'm sorry, but the current board has not been not been keeping Chief Bracken accountable. And I actually will come back up here and answer questions from people from Seward, Bear Creek area, because they are commingling together. This isn't a conspiracy. It's data and facts. Data and facts don't lie. People do. VoteBrandonTatum.com. Thank you. Unless you guys got questions now, let's go.
Yeah, we'll have
We don't have time, we have
Well,
14 people that speak today.
yeah, we've got a heavy schedule, but I would like to say that that's one of, I got some questions about why we were having Bear Creek and Seward represented at this forum tonight, and I think it's important because nothing happens in Bear Creek or in Seward that doesn't affect the others. So I have to agree that everybody should be aware of the situation. Specifically involving EMS, but also the flood service area, which there are 3 seats available for in Bear Creek, and that's actually a joint flood service area, so it includes Seward. There are 3 seats that no one has put their name in the hat for. So apparently all the action right now is at the fire service board. So I don't know if that distracted folks from the flood service area, but there's a need there. So
People can apply still or get
Yeah.
appointed, and the borough will post something in October.
yeah, well, vacancies can be appointed to either board. So if you put your name in the hat, you can get appointed in between elections. We're going to go ahead and get the mayoral candidates, get them up on the stage here. So we've got Sue, we've got Tim, and we've got Leighton. So Leighton Radner, Tim McDonald, Sue McClure, the current mayor. So we've had, I think, we've had Sue, we've got Sue, we've had Cindy up here, we've had Peter. I don't know if there's any other local dignitaries we've missed. Got a full house. Yeah, just take a seat anywhere. I'm going to flip this TV around so I can monkey with it while you folks are addressing the audience here. And we'll get going on that in just a second.
Gotta wait for the AV kit. All right, there we go. Alrighty, so since our convention tonight is apparently going from stage right to stage left, we'll start out with Sue. Sue, Tim, and Leighton here are the candidates for the mayor seat in Seward, which is elected separately. And maybe Sue, you could take an extra minute and describe what the difference is between the mayor and the council seats that you have. I've heard you go over that many times before, and you got it down. So.
Well, thank you. If you don't know me, I'm Sue McClure. My maiden name was Levan, and people still wonder about, where I went, but I'm here, the same person. My family, I got to give you a little history. My family goes back in Seward to 1925 when my great-grandparents and one set of grandparents moved over from Valdez. Other set of grandparents moved up. My mom was born here. My dad came after the war, and then I came along. I'm passionate about Seward history, obviously. I'm president of the Historical Society. I think history is really important. So I was born here. I went through the Seward schools. I'm a high school graduate. I was valedictorian, of course, and I won't tell you what year exactly, but I lived here all that time when Seward was pretty much a 1 or 2 or 3 job town. We had the railroad, we had the associated with the railroad, the shipping. My dad was a longshoreman, and we had fishing. And I remember us being really poor, but really happy, and we had a good school system. And then the earthquake happened, so I was here in '64, and that pretty well wiped out fishing, railroad, and the docks. And we were really poor, and people left, and we stayed. And I remember not much going on when I went off to college. So I went off to college and got a couple degrees in Fairbanks, and taught a bunch of sciences in Fairbanks, and then went outside and taught chemistry at a university in California for 20 years. So I had about 30 years of teaching, and in the process became a single mom and kept teaching and raised my son. And all the while I was passionate about what was going on in local government. Oddly, I'm not sure why that happened, but it happened. And so we were living in Shell Beach, which is the ritzy part of Pismo Beach. And I watched every Pismo Beach City Council meeting while I was down there. I mean, I really wanted to get involved, but I didn't have time. I had the career and the mom thing and a few other things. And so I retired a little bit early, came back up, and in the process had a house built on a lot that I very wisely bought back in the 70s for not much, and moved back. And so then I was free to do what I had been biding my time for. So I got, as soon as I could, I think I had to be here 30 days. I got on planning and zoning because there's always room for Seward planning and zoning, and I did that. And I, because I was a live body there and I was interested, I got recruited to be on the Borough Planning Commission, which I thought was a real upgrade, because I got a little, I think we got $200 a month or something, and I got some of my pictures framed. It was really cool. And then suddenly there were term limits, and Ron Long got turned out after 9 years on the Borough Assembly. So I was asked to run, and I did. And even though they didn't know who I was because I have a different last name than when I grew up, I got elected. So I was on the Assembly for 6 years. It was kind of like I paid the dues in planning and zoning, moved my way up, and then I was, whoa, I'm on the Borough Assembly, which was really neat because I like watching people and their reactions to the things we do, and I enjoyed that. But there were term limits. So I very wisely applied, ran for city council before I termed out. It was within that same month, so I went from a meeting at the Borough Assembly to coming over and being on city council. I've been on there quite a while, and then I bided my time because my Aunt Lee, back in the 70s, Lee McInerney, was mayor, and I always thought that would be the coolest thing to be. And I bided my time. And we had some good mayors, and I wasn't going to run against them. And then Christy Terry decided to move to Anchorage, and I was the vice mayor, and she said, you have to run. So that's why I've been mayor for 3 years from that encouragement, and it's been really great. I wanted to say before I talk about the way it works that if you want to see what I do or how it goes or any of that, all you have to do is go to City of Seward YouTube, and all the meetings are on there, and you can see what's going on. You can learn a lot that way. I watch the planning and zoning meetings on YouTube. I've said before, I watch it with my cat, you know, because it's better than sitting at the meetings, but you can see how it works. So the thing about Seward is we have what's, I hate to tell people this, but we have what's called a weak mayor form of government. A strong mayor would be like Anchorage, okay? Weak mayor means basically, well, I cut ribbons for things, and I'm the face of Seward for certain things. Biggest part of it, though, meeting with congressional delegates and state legislators. I've got a great relationship with that, and I get to run the meetings. So in the presiding of meetings, I'm one vote. The mayor is one of the 7 votes, if there's all 7 there. But if you watch the meetings, and this is for the high school kids that are here, the mayor is always called on last to vote. And the reason for that is if it's a tie, 3-3, I get to break the tie. And there are different ways of being mayor. I'm one that keeps it on a level where I let the others speak first, and then I make my decisions. So if you like what I've been doing, I would appreciate your vote to let me continue for another 3 years. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tim McDonald, and I think I've run for mayor once before. I was born and raised in Seward. I was 7 years old in the '64 earthquake. I experienced that along with Sue. My family lived right below Jess Lee home, and we had 100 people in our house after that. And so my roots are pretty deep in Seward, and I really care about it. It's changed so much, in my half lifetime. It's just amazing. And I kind of divide the general view of public discussion. I divide it into industry, small businesses, and quality of life. And I think quality of life has suffered a lot in the last 10 years. Now in the winter, it's a ghost town downtown, and so many businesses that aren't open, like they used to be in the winter, and even in the summer. We've lost a lot of businesses. You can't buy a piece of plywood in this town, but you can rent a kayak 24 hours a day. And that's the truth. I mean, tourism has become everything for economy. And that in itself is not a bad thing. It's just what's been squeezed out, and a lot of it is our quality of life. In industry, our 3 big drivers are the cruise ships, the railroad, and probably the hotel operators. They probably gross more money than anybody else. And, you know, how much they actually do for Seward, or how many people in Seward, you know, really depend on those businesses is variable, because a lot of the owners are not here. You know, the cruise ship owners are not here, the railroad owners not here, maybe the hotel owners are. But they've kind of chopped Seward up into sections, and we're more business sections than we are people sections, and that's where our quality of life has just gone downhill as far as I can say. We're basically almost like a big business colony. You know, we're too valuable to let have our own way. The people get pushed aside. It's what big business wants, because they have the big bucks, they can afford the voice, they can afford to lobby politicians, etc. So, you know, it's tough to get it back from them, but you have to try, and you have to pick battles that you can win. But our quality of life needs to improve. I'm all in favor of a community center. When that becomes viable, I think we need that, because that's the one thing. In the '64 earthquake, the reason more people didn't get killed in Seward, 13 people died here. The reason more didn't is we were going to have a big Good Friday down supper where the Sea Life Center is. There was a big warehouse. The whole town was going to be there. And that was, if the earthquake had been a few hours later, it would have wiped out a couple hundred people. You know, they didn't know about the waves, so they didn't know to get away from it till it started happening. And, you know, that you can't buy that sort of community spirit. It has to be built, and it has to be invested in, and I think we're way behind the 8 ball on that. I'm concerned about the utility. The utility has, you know, raised prices on us again, but yet it's an incredibly rich utility. The city government takes out over $1 million every year, sometimes over $2 million, just to put in the general fund. It makes a huge amount of money, but when they tried to sell it twice on Sue's watch down there, the citizens voted down, and they told us that if we didn't sell it, they'd have to raise prices. And it's just ridiculous. I think we're being taken advantage on that, and that's the big elephant in the room that has to be dealt with. We can't sell it for a few years yet, we don't, but if it gets sold, I believe a cooperative that we own as the users is the right choice, instead of it being a cash cow for the city. The other thing that worries me, and again, back to the business squares, you know, we're being chopped up to spheres of influence for the businesses. The cruise ships are going to be up over 100 landings per year. You know, a lot of places in the world have restricted their cruise ship landings. One reason is because half the ships that are coming into Seward, I was reading about this just a couple days ago, have open exhaust systems. And what that means is they run their exhaust through fresh seawater, and that takes out most of the particulate and the pollution of seawater. So they got clean exhaust going in the air, but then that gets dumped into the ocean. You know, we ought to restrict those guys, tell them they can't come in. Restrict ourselves to a certain amount of cruise ships, 60 or 70 or something like that. We need to rein them in, because it is affecting our fishing game. There's a lot of different things. So quality of life, quality of life. Thank you very much. Please vote for me, Tim McDonald, for mayor.
My name is Leighton Radner. I recently ran for District 5 representative just a little while ago, and that experience gave me the opportunity to talk to a lot more people here locally and around Seward about the issues we're facing and decisions that we have coming up soon. A lot of that's been talked about already in regards to tourism decisions and things like that. I'm young, but many describe me as having kind of an old soul. I think that comes from the fact that I have a bit of a different upbringing than most. I was raised in a 500 square foot cabin in the woods with a family of 7. So I had a bit of an odd upbringing. I I got to have a really open education. I learned a lot, and I can talk people's ear off mostly about economics and history, and that's sort of where most of my interests lie. I got involved with sort of city government a while back. I'm on a few boards, the Libertarian Party and things like that, but that's sort of separate from running for office down here. And then, so when I look at like local government, most of my decisions come from a sort of small town perspective. I want basically basic services, and that's what I look at being strong. So go over some of my priorities, and really kind of, we talk about soft mayor, hard mayor, that kind of thing, and to comment on that, I think really what I see the mayoral position as is somebody to sort of advocate what people in the city want to the council, and then also be that vote if obviously ties come up, things like that, as was discussed. And so, you know, in talking to so many people in town, some of the issues I heard come up over and over again were things like our jail. You know, originally it was said that the jail was gonna be closed temporarily because of staffing issues. Today, if you go on the website, it says it is closed permanently. So it seems as though we have moved on from that. That's something that concerns me deeply, because to me, I look at every other town in Alaska that has a similar population, has a tourism base, has all these things that we have, they all have jails. And so that's something I think has to be prioritized. I think you have to talk with the city managers, the rest of city council, the police department, everybody has to put their heads together and figure out how to get that solved sooner than later. And in regards to like the electric utility, I was taken back, I think, same as a lot of others, with the multiple votes, the fact that this took 2 different votes. And frankly, I think in government, when you see any time a vote is close, that's typically not a good thing. You want to see things be a blowout, because that means everybody sort of agrees, you know. And not only did we do this vote twice, but both times, obviously, it failed, and was at least somewhat close in that regard. And that's something that I definitely took note of. And in regards to like the utility, I believe we should do as much as we can in-house. I believe keeping as much control here in-house is important. I've heard ideas of the co-op and things like that that I've heard from other people locally, and I think those are decent ideas, but only if they keep us in control of things. We have to have that for the future, for not only the people that are here now, but for everybody down the road. That has to be viable. As far as housing goes, I think the council did some good work in regards to the height requirements and things like that, that I think is ultimately good, but I also think there's lots of issues with housing here. Obviously, we have a lot of buildings that I think the city uses that also need to be looked at in regards to whether they're being utilized or whether they could be utilized for other things in regards to housing, and I think that's something that's been talked about, you know, in regards to some different buildings. I've heard from many concerned about taxes. That's always an issue that we hear about, especially property taxes. I'm certainly not in support of raising taxes. Coming from the upbringing I did, I learned a lot about make and do with what you have, and I think that's ultimately the situation Seward's in. We have to figure out how to make the town that we have work the way that it is. We can't keep, that's why, same reason I'm not in support of things like annexation, is because we can't just go keep gobbling up more area, more tax, more things like that. It just doesn't work. You just increase the spending along with it, and the whole thing runs the course. And with tourism, obviously, it's a vital part of our economy here. But I have to agree. I mean, I made in my public opening statement for candidacy, I said I don't want Seward to become Juneau. And I really do mean that. I have friends who live in Juneau. I have people who work there. And it is not a great environment if you are a local. It's a fine environment if you're there to make money and leave seasonally, and you want to be there temporarily, but it is not a place that I think any of us would want to live. And I'm worried about us becoming closer to that than not. So I hope to gain any support I can. My name is Leighton Radner, and I hope to get your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Leighton, Tim, and Sue. Those are the mayoral candidates this go-round, this election for Seward City Mayor. And we're gonna welcome the Seward Council candidates up now. I think we've had a little bit of a serious lesson in what the difference between the mayoral seat of one of 7 on the council. These folks are running for 2 open seats. And there are how many candidates here tonight?
There's 6, I believe.
6 here tonight, or 6 in total?
Let's count. I think there was 4 here tonight, and there was 6 in total, so I'd like to read theirs first.
Great. All right, yes, so Mike Calhoun wasn't able to make it because of prior engagement, and Kevin Finch also was not able to make it tonight. I thought there was another one, but I guess it's plenty. We're gonna go ahead and read the bios, or selections from the bios for Mike Calhoun and Kevin Finch, just to give them an appearance here, and then we'll move to the panel. Stay with me.
Yes, try as we might, you can't schedule anything where everybody can be there, so I wanted to read these bios first. Last night, it was last year I conflicted with senior disco night. This year, the casualties were Kevin Finch couldn't show up to speak, or Mike Calhoun. So I would like to start off by reading their bios.
Yeah, you need to get further away from the microphone.
Okay.
There you go.
Both of which are currently on city council, so like Sue brought up, you can watch any past meetings on city council, on the city of Seward YouTube. So Mike Calhoun has some education. His elected experience is Seward City Council, member from October 2021 to 2022, Seward City Council member from 2000 to 2002, Seward Planning and Zoning Commission 1999 to 2000. Other, community services, American Legion Post 5 Board of Directors, 2006 to the present. And his statement is, I am running for election to Seward City Council with the goal to help Seward continue to move forward with the growth in both the private and business sectors. I believe my record on the council over the years has shown me fiscally responsible with the goal of developing a strong and sustainable year-round economy. I am an Army veteran with ties to Seward since my family moved here in 1962. I am currently community-minded and service-oriented. I have previously served on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, the Seward Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Seward City Council. I have been on the Board of Directors for the American Legion Post since 2026. Seward is a great town to live in, and I believe I can get even better with continued emphasis on responsible and affordable development of single-family housing and year-round business. I would like the opportunity to again serve the community of Seward and to help all of us meet the challenges of the future. Once again, it is not me, Brennan, that was Mike Calhoun's statement. Next is Kevin Finch, is applying for one of the 2-year seats. He has been a city council member since 2022. Other professional experiences, 25 years, DOC, various training, 5-year Army, various training. Community service, American Legion, support year-round locals first. His statement is, I am running for city council to bring balance for Seward residents year-round. I have lived in Seward for the past 32 years and run my own business. And now to the current ones.
Hello. Good evening. For those who have not had the opportunity to meet, I'm Samantha LaPera. I'm 32 and I was originally born in Fort Myers, Florida. Many peers have asked me why I decided to run for city council. And my answer is always the logical one. I go to school for finance and I'm honestly just interested in the town's finances and politics. But there's really so much more than that. Seward's my home. I've lived here all my adult life. I came here when I was 22 on July 16th for the summer while on break from college and I didn't know a soul. I wanted to stay so badly that I got a job at the Breeze serving tables in the morning, and then I worked at the Seward Ale House at night bartending. There was nowhere to live, and I pitched a tent over at the waterfront campground, and as everybody knows, there's no options. And talk about an experience. That's been a hot subject since I moved here, nightly rentals. Life is all about balance though. That's where planning and zoning comes to play. The principal, as I'm aware, has moved 7 times in the last 3 years, but I think that's what balance is all about, because a teacher could buy a house and have to pay her mortgage by renting out her basement or maybe her mother-in-law's suite. That's the beauty Seward has, balance and diversity. I think that's what makes it exciting, the opportunity. Or maybe even the drive that people want to live here. There's always room for growth and possibility. Maybe one day our ratepayers can even have benefits for a lower opportunity for utilities to be lowered, or maybe a rebate. Learning how to tap into local resources like the Seward Sea Life Center, how they tap into the Resurrection Bay for lower bills. I want to contribute and collaborate between the citizens, fellow council members, and administration to move Seward into a direction that benefits us all. I fell in love with this town and everything it had to offer. 10 years later, this town has given me more than a home. I have a beautiful house in a community that I love, a job at the shipyard with friends, something as simple as walking into the gym and Fred or his wife Deb saying, "Hey Sam, have a great workout." You can't find that in Fort Myers, Florida, or another big town. So my answer is now, I want to run for city council because I care about this community, because it has impacted me and I want to give back. I think I'd be an asset to this team if given the opportunity. I'm committing to you the time and effort it will take to learn and grow and be the best candidate I can.
Okay, hold on. Okay, that was quick.
My name is Lori Draper, and I've been a proud resident of Seward for 48 years. I wasn't born here like some of the candidates, but I got here as fast as I could. I'm retired now, but I spent my 34-year career in banking, first with National Bank of Alaska and then Wells Fargo. I started as a teller, and I worked my way up to district manager, and I oversaw branches in Kenai and Homer and Cordova and the entire southeast branches. And that allowed me to see a lot of different communities in the state and learn about their different economies and cultures and the challenges that they faced. But by far the favorite part of my job was when I was a branch manager here in Seward, being able to help people get their first car, their first house, give them a loan to buy their first business, or their first fishing boat. Those moments showed me that the direct impact of good financial stewardship can have a huge impact on people's lives. And that's exactly what I think I can bring to the city council. I believe my background in finance is one of my strongest assets. The budgeting process is probably the single most important responsibility of the city council. And to me, a budget's not just numbers, it's our moral document. It reflects our values and our priorities and how we put our money where our mouth is. We all want to avoid waste, and we need to be vigilant about finding and eliminating it. We also need to keep utility rates as affordable as possible for our residents. One idea I'd like to see implemented in regard to the budget is a quarterly budget variance report. Too often in years past, the cities end up with large gaps between what was budgeted and what was actually received in revenues. If we had earlier visibility into those trends, we could better respond to current budget issues. For me, 2 of the most pressing issues in Seward are housing and affordable housing and public education. Let's start with housing. The city's made great progress, and it's encouraging to see single-family homes under construction, including the Rural CAP program. We have 10 houses under construction right now. That's a wonderful program where home buyers can trade sweat equity instead of a down payment. We're still lacking is long-term, non-subsidized rental housing. There's a few units in Seward in this category, and they're almost always filled up immediately. And that can be a real barrier for getting new teachers, police officers, healthcare workers, or young families who want to move here but are not ready to commit to buying a house yet. We need to make sure there's land available, properly zoned for multi-unit developments, and that parking requirements are reasonable, and that we create incentives to encourage that kind of investment. Having more rental options can make a difference in whether we're able to hire and retain the people that Seward needs. Now for public education, for more than a decade, Alaska schools have been underfunded, and this year the reality hit especially hard. Many of us heard about the possibility of eliminating libraries, gym teachers, coaching stipends, and making deep cuts to our teaching staff. It's not acceptable to continue to ask our educators to do more with less. I recently joined a group called the Seward Education Advocates, a group working to connect our schools with community partners like UAF, AvTech, the Sea Life Center, Park Service, Forest Service, and others. Our city can play a meaningful role here by collaborating with parents, educators, and advocacy groups to support and strengthen our schools. Because the truth is, a strong public education system is not just for kids, it's the foundation of a healthy community and a strong local economy. I also want to mention our electric department. It's been managed well under the current contract, and I'm excited to learn more when the community survey comes out later this month. Exploring options like small-scale hydroelectric projects or even the cooperative model is exciting, and I believe Seward has opportunities to lead in a sustainable community driven energy. And finally, I want to talk about our city employees. I want Seward to be the kind of place where city jobs are highly sought after. That means competitive wages, strong benefits, and retirement security. Right now, many of our employees have no guaranteed pension and don't receive Social Security. That's a serious issue if we want talented people to dedicate their careers to public service. A comprehensive wage, benefit, and cost of living study would give us the data we need to ensure our city can attract and retain the workforce that we depend on. In closing, I want to say Seward's been my home for nearly 5 decades, and I deeply value this community. I believe my background in finance, my passion for problem solving, and my commitment to listening will make me an effective council member. It'd be an honor to serve, and I would appreciate your vote October 7th.
Good evening, friends and neighbors. My name is James Michael Taylor, and I'm honored to be before you tonight as a candidate for Seward City Council. I've called Seward home since 1994. I moved here shortly after I was discharged from the Navy. I was in Seward for a very brief time when I was in middle school. My mom was down here for the summer and a year. And then I moved back to Anchorage. So, not having been in Seward by myself, I came down because I wanted to see what was at the end of the road, and I liked it and I stayed. This is where I built my life, my friendships, and my future. With the exception of a few years away, Seward has always pulled me back because this community isn't just a place I live, it's my home, my family, my foundation. Over the years, I've worked in just about every corner of this town. I've driven taxi. I worked as a bouncer at the Yukon Bar. I managed networks at the CDU Community Services, and I held jobs at AvTech, Safeway, Hertz, The Breeze, the Apollo, and more summer businesses than I can count. And some of them don't even exist anymore. And like many of you, I've had to hustle, adapt, and put the work to make a living here. And through that, I've had the privilege of seeing Seward from many perspectives. I know the workers, the small business owners, the families, the longtime residents, and the folks just starting out. That lived experience is what shapes the priorities that I bring to this campaign. First, fiscal responsibility, especially in how we manage Seward electric utilities. Our utility is one of our city's greatest assets, but it must be managed wisely. Decisions made today will impact our rates, our resilience, and our community's future for years to come. I believe in careful, transparent financial stewardship because every dollar matters, and taxpayers deserve to know their money is being managed responsibly. Second, housing. Long-term housing options in Seward are too limited. Families, workers, and young people are being squeezed out. If we want to keep Seward strong, we must ensure that people who want to live here and work here can actually find a place to call home. Third is support for small businesses. Our local businesses are the backbone of this town. They create jobs, they support our nonprofits, and they give Seward its character. The city should be a partner, not a barrier to their success. I'm not running for council because I think I have all the answers. I'm running because I know how important it is for everyday voices to be represented in the room where decisions about our future are made. I've been on the ground here for decades, and I've seen what works and what doesn't. My commitment is to listen, to learn, and to make thoughtful decisions rooted in fairness, common sense, and long-term sustainability. Public service to me isn't about personal ambition, it's about responsibility. It's about making sure the next generation inherits a Seward that is strong, stable, and full of opportunity. So tonight I ask for your support, not just in this election, but in the ongoing work of shaping our community together. And whether you vote for me or not, I hope you'll stay engaged, speak up, and share your vision, because Seward's future is something we all have a stake in. Thank you for being here, thank you for your commitment to our town, and thank you for believing, as I do, that together we can build a Seward that honors its past while preparing for the future.
My name is Randy Wells, and I am a current city council member. My first term I was appointed and did a year, and I'm just now finishing up my first 3 years. I can tell you that I am ecstatic about each council member applicant, and I am so happy to see all of those names that are running for council, and I really do believe that every one of these applicants would make a great city council member. So thank you so much for doing that. I really do appreciate that. I learned a lot over the last 4 years. I went into city government as an entrepreneur. I started as an entrepreneur at 19, and that was my last real job, as my mom says. So I know what small business means to a large community, and I know what it means to a small community. My wife and I and our children came to Seward in 2007. We could not find a place to live that we could afford. We lived in a dry RV in Moose Pass for 5 years, and I commuted back and forth every single day. A lot of you don't know that. We saved up the money to buy the lot where our house is right now, and then we had to sit on that lot for 4 more years before we could build. One of the changes that's happened with our current city code that I'm really happy about, when I was building my house, I couldn't have my fifth wheel on my property in town. It was against city code. So therefore I had to continue to commute. Since that time, since my time on council, one of the things that we've done to change that is if you have short-term housing, you can put it on your property while you develop your property. And that's something that's changed in the last 3 years that I think is really awesome. It would have made a huge difference if my family and I were able to do that. We would have completed our home a whole lot sooner than we did. So I'm adamant about the housing situation that we have in our community, and I've been very outspoken about it on the council. And if I'm reelected, and if you choose to put me in that seat again, that is my focus, and it has been. I believe that there are things that we can do with our current city code that would open up development for both single family and affordable housing and low income housing. And it would be very, very simple to do. And as a council member, that is my goal for the next 3 years is housing, if reelected. But again, I truly do believe that every single applicant that's up here and the 2 that aren't here will be excellent council members. And so no matter how you vote, I believe the next 3 years is going to be good for Seward. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidates for Seward City Council. There's 2 seats available this year. That's the way it's been. I remember when they changed, it came about in code, and so that they got 2 per year. So every 3 years, the whole council turns over. So that was the arrangement, and so we'll see 2 more candidates next year and forevermore. Thanks again. I'm sorry. What was your first name? Samantha, that's what I thought. Samantha LaPera and Lori Draper and John Michael. James Michael, I'm sorry. And of course, Randy Wells here. Thanks for running for City Council and for coming tonight. I would like to say that you can stick around and mingle as long as you like. You'll notice that we have some furniture along the side here. They're going to be recarpeting this facility in the next couple of days. So when you come back here on the 29th for the City of Seward Town Hall for the electric utility, there will be new carpet in here. So something to look forward to. And yeah, there's a flyer available Monday, September 29th, 2025, from 7 to 9 right here. It's a community town hall meeting for the Seward's electric utility. You're going to be discussing all the different angles of the current operation and future possibilities for the electric utility. I guess I'm
I'm still trying to make up for that disco night.
Oktoberfest, okay. Resurrection Roadhouse, September 14th, from 6 to 9 at the Resurrection Roadhouse. That's Oktoberfest, and that's to benefit Seward and Moose Pass Meals on Wheels. So that's another event coming up, not here, but at the Resurrection Roadhouse on September 14th, which is a Sunday, from 6 to 9. And I had something else that I was going to say, but I can't remember what it is. So this will be posted on our YouTube channel at Sacktown on YouTube, and we'll be here again. Oh, that's what I was going to say. We'll be here again. The dynamic duo here. We'll get in here. I'm actually going to spend some time after the event tonight trying to figure out why the streaming didn't work on the UAF network here. We could have went a different way, but I wasn't prepared. You know, it looked good because the Zoom session worked. So.
And we're going to do a presentation on the TV?
Oh yeah, well yeah, we'll do that on the 29th. We have another local utility.
Speaker here, somebody to thank us for the TV service.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do that on the 29th.
Okay,
Yeah.
whoever speak now.
Okay. Apparently, this is mandatory. So we have a local television viewer here who has been, I think she's was the earliest adopter, maybe, of the television service. So, yeah, thank you. I'm sorry to keep you on the stage while I went on my monologue here. Yeah, as I mentioned, go ahead and you stick around as long as you like and talk with the candidates and among yourselves.
Here's where you can ask additional questions of your candidates.
Yes. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, folks.
Say something about the TV?
Is that a,
Yeah, we'll stand up.
is that thing in the 29th, is that another candidate deal?
That's the City of Seward.
Oh, never mind, they didn't understand that you were going to, they didn't understand you were.
It's an electric utility town hall.
I thought there was another candidate.
Oh, well, thank you for
No,
showing
no.
up.
Well, there is one.
State showed up.
Nobody understood we were going to speak about the TV, and I thought he was going to do a presentation. We had technical difficulties, and he couldn't.